the title of the album came from a moment when our young daughter, then she was 4, and this was back in 2013. But I wrote that memory down. Um, we were preparing to leave Los Angeles for Nashville, and boxing up our things and feeling tired. And I hear her say, "Come on, Lightning, show us your stuff," as she raises a great branch of manzanita to the sky. And
Wow.
and in a moment, I swear, the sky flashes. There's thunder on the horizon, and I thought, oh, well, the child has some sort of power.
She conjured it.
uh, so I remember that, and I wrote that down, and that's sort of what we're doing when we try to create. In some ways, we're asking to be to be struck. Not necessarily struck by lightning, but we're asking for lightning to strike somewhere.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with acclaimed singer, songwriter, and painter Grant-Lee Phillips about his 2020 album Lightning, Show Us Your Stuff. He talks about the inspiration of author Carson McCullers creating a cataclysmic stomp and why his songs are uniquely suited for fall. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from his home in Nashville, Grant-Lee Phillips.
Hello. Happy Friday. I've got an umbrella.
That's a Friday-looking drink.
In my cocktail.
Sure is.
In my water.
Hey, but you're getting fancy, and that's all that matters with the umbrella. Well, welcome to our weekly musical happy hour. We're very excited to have Grant-Lee Phillips joining us, and all of you. Welcome to the party. Looks like Cassandra was first to the party.
Yeah.
And says, don't forget to break a leg. Okay.
I will break them. Hey, Cassandra.
Christopher joining us from Savage with some delicious Udapils Brewing. Hell's, nice summer beer.
Award-winning, Hell's.
Yeah. Alan, happy Back Catalog Listening Party Day, everybody. It's hot in Houston, but we're on parole from the hospital at least. Oh, glad to hear it, Alan.
Yes, good. Glad to have you here, Alan.
We're so happy you're here. And Connie, joining us. Let us know where you are tuned in from, if you're enjoying a beverage or a snack. Joe is excited for the music, ready for the music info and insights. Oh, insights as well. Okay.
You came to the right place, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. And Tony, are you enjoying anything on this beautiful summer day in Minneapolis?
I am. I'm going back to the Freewave Hazy IPA from Athletic in my Back Catalog Listening Party pint glass.
And it looks really nice in that glass.
Oh, it tastes so good. Yeah. How about
well, I am drinking a gin and tonic, but I kind of fancied it up a little bit. It's a peach gin and tonic.
Ooh, that real peaches in there?
Yes, real peaches, real peach juice, and it's tasting mighty fine.
Nice.
And it looks like Alinda's joined us from New Haven, Connecticut. Welcome to the party. And again, we're very excited to have you all here. If you're new to the party, this is what it's all about. It's about conversation, hanging out, asking questions, and in particular, exploring the music today of Grant-Lee Phillips. And so throw your questions in as we go. But before we start, you have an extensive bio, Grant, but maybe you could give us a little brief origin story of how you started, where you grew up and where you started making music.
Oh, goodness. Where I grew up and how I made music. I was born in Stockton, California, right there in the heart of the San Joaquin Valley. And my goodness, picked up the guitar when I was about 13, I suppose. And I think maybe soon after, learn a chord or two, and I began to realize that I enjoyed making songs up. I don't know that I called it songwriting yet, but I liked making songs up, and I kept making songs up for I didn't stop, and then finally I got to be about I don't know 25, something like that. I went, I keep doing this, so I must be a songwriter at this point. And but I was just really taken with music. It was a big part of my life growing up. I did a lot of performing in my teenage years. A little shout out to my friends out there in Northern California, a place called Pollardville, which was kind of my haven to explore music and a lot of other things, place to perform all through my high school years. And then I went down to LA, and that's where ultimately would meet the folks that uh, would come to be known as Grant-Lee Buffalo, um, and other bands before that. Shiva Burlesque, Grant-Lee Buffalo, and that's where a lot of folks first heard um, what I was up to. That this is early '90s, and that was kind of an exciting time for independent music. We were
Hmm.
signed to Slash Records, and the great thing about that was that we were left to our own devices, made the records like we wanted to make them, and yet there was a little bit of muscle to get out there on the road and help a young band to get to Europe or get across the U.S. And my goodness, by we'd seen a lot of country in that decade, and probably by about 2000 or so, that's about the time I kind of went off on my own, ready for another chapter. And there's that. Some folks know me from the Gilmore Girls, another another strange corridor of my life and career. I'm the town troubadour on that show.
Awesome.
If you've if you've somehow managed to not see it, on
I
any
think a
of
lot of
the
people
the
will
syndicated,
recognize you from there.
yeah. If you've never been to a Hot Topic or places,
It's like a certain age
yeah,
group, but I remember that was actually one of my favorite things about that show was I was like, oh, they got like a real musician to do this
yeah. I'd like
as
to think
opposed to an
so.
actor.
Yeah.
So
So it was, what a fantastic thing, and so I feel like I have a growing base of people that have discovered the music and still do, by in all sorts of ways, and I welcome all of them, however they wound up here. Yeah.
wonderful. Well, the album we're going to revisit today is more recent in your discography, recent-ish, 2020. Already
Mm,
5 years ago, though. I don't know how that happened.
right.
And this was recorded on Yep Rock. You mentioned you were signed to another indie label in the 90s. And I don't know if, what your path was through different labels before arriving at Yep Rock. But was this one of your earlier records on Yep Rock, or had you already done one with them?
Oh goodness. No, this is a record from 2020, and we had done a few records at this point. Yep Rock, goodness, Little Moon was one of them, The Narrows, and so this is about the third album, I think, maybe we had done at this point, over a period of time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to dig into this
Yeah,
record
me too.
with you. So let's get the music happening.
Absolutely.
The first track you picked to feature from this record is Drawing the Head. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we take a listen?
Oh goodness, the title was extracted from a book on the shelf, Drawing the Head, as one could imagine, how to draw the human head, you
Like
know?
the oval with the lines going
That's
in
one
and
way to
out.
do it,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I struggle with that method myself, yeah, but, so, there's sort of a duality to the song. On one hand, it is, it's kind of it's about self-investigation and how we see ourselves, and it's also sort of drawing something out of ourselves as
Mm.
well, Um yeah, drawing the head. I do a lot of drawing, and, that's probably why I had that book on the shelf. But, so, yeah, easier said than done sometimes, drawing the head, drawing what's inside the head. Let's
Yeah.
hear the song.
Sounds great. This is Grant-Lee Phillips drawing the head here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
What if I fail? Oh no. Afraid I might splinter in the sun. pencil and pad, half light, trying to render it all. Shapes and shadows, scars on the face, fragile like a doll. It ain't nothing but practicing, practice, drawing the head. Yeah, the rest of me's riddled with doubt, all in my head. It ain't nothing but practicing, practice, drawing the head.
All right.
Nice.
Grant-Lee Phillips with Drawing the Head. I
Mhm.
love the sort of like meditative vibe of that song.
Yeah.
Real sweet.
Yeah.
When you wrote it, did you know that was the tenor of the recording, like how you wanted to perform it? Or sometimes songs, start off like, oh, I think this is a fast
Right.
rocker, and then you're like, oh no, just kidding.
Yeah. I think my tendency is to, when that initial inspiration strikes, I try to put it down on tape, on a, even if that tape is my phone, my memo. I try to get that sensation and whatever I'm feeling in my body, as well. And that's the tempo and the feel, everything that makes you sway and uh, capture that in some way, so I don't lose that. And then I'm going to hang on to that until the moment I walk into the studio. I might explore at home with, in terms of recording and working through it, making notes, and I might do a few different versions of it, but I will often go back to that early draft, going, there's something here. I mean, it can be a little maddening sometimes because you feel like it's that, you feel like you should chase it around the block, but often what was there, that very seed, is the thing you got to hang on to.
Hmm.
And as I listen back, I'm hearing these beautiful, deep, dark drums of Jay Bellerose.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, that really
Yeah.
struck me
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you really feel those in your chest, don't you? And
Mhm.
Jennifer Condos on bass, Eric Haywood on pedal steel, and I'm playing acoustic guitar and singing. All of this is really going down live at one time in the studio as well. So
Mm.
you have that. We have a long friendship, and so that it's a very, very special relationship, and little little talking has to be done in the studio. And in fact, I'm usually the one saying, can we try this? Maybe we'll do it like 12 times, and then we'll wait a bar, and Jay will say, like, let's can we just play it? Let's just play it. And I was like, we can do that too. That can be, and that kind of telepathy and trust will happen, and there it is. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the theme, lightning, show us your stuff. The title of the album came from a moment when our young daughter, then she was 4, and this was back in 2013. But I wrote that memory down. Um, we were preparing to leave Los Angeles for Nashville, and boxing up our things, and feeling tired, and I hear her say, "Come on, lightning, show us your stuff," as she raises a great branch of manzanita to the sky. And
Wow.
and in a moment, I swear, the sky flashes. There's thunder on the horizon, and I thought, oh, well, the child has some sort of powers.
She conjured it.
uh, So I remember that, and I wrote that down, and that's sort of what we're doing when we try to create in some ways. Where we're asking to be to be struck. You know, not necessarily struck by lightning, but we're asking for lightning to strike somewhere about
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Well, since you brought that up, something that I'm often curious about when an artist puts a collection of songs together
Hmm.
for an album was, did you have kind of a particular kind of box that you wanted to put these songs in? Was there anything that was guiding your choices for these songs and the production and, the palette of paints that you may have used to color what we're hearing tonight?
There is definitely a kind of a sonic palette. I think at the heart of each song, of each recording, the acoustic guitar, my voice is kind of right dead center. Um, the band itself, this gathering of people has a certain kind of way of playing together as well. So that contributes a great deal to the sound of the record. Um, you know, uh, and thematically speaking, I'm kind of juggling a few different things. The records are always personal, and yet they're not necessarily autobiographical. You can make that distinction. I was doing a little more reading at the time, reading Carson McCullers and Flannery O'Connor, and thinking about how one could tell a song, could narrate a song through the eyes of a character, um, and in some songs it's more evident. Others are very autobiographical, but where that line gets
Yeah.
blurred is probably something that only I would know. I think it all comes out as being one wonderful lie.
In
But
there lies the truth.
Yeah,
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 exactly. Well, you mentioned, you know, that the song "Drawing the Head" was that phrase was originally inspired by an art book, a drawing book,
yeah.
and I know you have a lot of artwork. You're a painter. Do you work in
Yeah.
any other mediums?
Oil paint has become the real medium of choice, and I was when I was a kid, I drew before I picked up the guitar, and and if you go back and look at some of the album packages of the Grant-Lee Buffalo, some of the solo albums, I frequently would create art for some of those things. So provided an outlet
Hmm.
for that itch that needed to be scratched. But something happened during the shutdown. Um, I really dove a lot deeper into it and kind of kept me sane. And now I can't stop.
Nice.
Well, I see there's if you go to grantleephillips.com, where you can, of course, check out Grant's music and tour dates, you will also see there's a tab for artwork. So you can actually check out some of it there as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's pretty cool. And speaking of artwork, this album art for this, I'm guessing because you are a visual artist as well as a musical artist, I'm guessing you're pretty picky about the images and the artwork on an album. Was
Yeah.
this your vision for the cover?
My wife took this photograph. Denise has photographed. Oh boy, every one of the solo albums that I can think of. Well, with the exception of maybe the last one, which was a painting. Um, Gave her a break. She'd had enough of it, but she has such a wonderful eye, and she likes to work very instinctively, and so typically we will go out, just the two of us. In this case, a very foggy day where we live, and just found this little area out there in nature. And I brought a stool and the guitar, as you can see, I felt like that was what this one wanted. Some kind of a portrait. Sometimes the album covers have a sense of her kind of sneaking up on me, but in this case here, I wanted it to be a little more confrontational, I guess. So we have, as we always have, a discussion about these things going in, and she always has great insights about one. She's just so familiar with the music. By the time we get to this point in time, she's heard it in the car, and and then she would make a lot of suggestions, and I love that process of working with her on all of this stuff, and the photographs that accompany a new album, for press and all of that. Um, yeah, that's the case right there. And then I will get involved with in terms of design and layout, and work very closely with the in-house um, designer at the label as well.
Mm.
But yes, am I a control freak? Perhaps, but I want to be the one to say that.
Well, and it is your,
So,
it's also your image and your music out there, so it's totally understandable. You want it to reflect what you think the music is.
Well,
So,
oh
and
yeah, yeah, of course.
I like how you're kind of looking at the, looking for the lightning to show you something here.
Yes.
The title and this particular look on your face is really interesting.
That would have
Yeah.
been ironic, right, to have been struck by lightning right
Oh.
out there. Could
but
have
there is
happened.
this kind of waiting or like a yeah, like or
It's like
vigil feel.
pensiveness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hey there, would you like to be part of the live show? Well, become a member of the Back Catalog Listening Party Patreon, and you'll get a backstage pass to weekly online tapings where you can ask the artist questions and participate in the live chat with a fun community of like-minded music nerds. You'll also get a first look at upcoming guests and receive invitations to special live streams and private after parties. So join the party today at patreon.com/Back Catalog Listening Party.
Well, we want to hear more of the music from the album. And so the next track that you picked to feature on today's show, Grant, is Lowest Low. And is there
Right.
anything you want to say about this one?
My memory of this song is that it was written on the road. Maybe it might have been one of the first songs that I wrote for this album. This would have been maybe end of 2018, early 2019. I had just flown to Italy, got off the plane, and I was feeling horrible, fever, sweat, really, really bad. And I have quite often I arrive, I have an afternoon to kind of get adjusted, and then the next night I'm on stage, and that was the case here. And I was really wondering how I was going to make it through the show. So my ritual in this case is to put a towel over my head, over a teapot, steam my face, try to coax something out of my throat. And if you follow along on the lyrics, it is pretty autobiographical, Face in the steam is one of the lines. So it came from that moment, just kind of wondering if, and kind of feeling guilty, like I might not have the goods to deliver, and feeling very vulnerable about it, kind of coming to terms with my own vulnerability and, emotionally, physically, what have you. Ironically, it was one of the first songs that came out when and just about the time we were all kind of like, wondering what all of this meant, this new pandemic,
Mm.
kind of
So it took on a
confronting our.
different meaning for
Yeah.
people, right?
It's
Yeah,
got
I
a
don't know if
different
we
meaning in it.
mentioned the date that's came out. It
Yeah.
came out in the fall of 2020.
There you go, the fall of 2020. Yeah. So very strange how that kind of stuff works, because the records are typically done and then it takes months before you can get them out. Um, yeah, lowest low. I was feeling like I might be at my lowest low.
All right. Well, let's give it a spin. And if you're out there listening, I saw we have a few new listeners that just chimed in. Make sure that you put your questions and your comments for Grant-Lee Phillips in the real-time chat. We'll get to them by the end of the hour. For now, let's enjoy Lowest Low here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Safe in the room, spin a I don't wanna be seen. I don't wanna break you down. Not like this. Not at my weakest. Not at my lowest. Oh. Safe in the wings. Fade into the scenery. Safe in the wings. A while. Heart in the game. What do they mean? Walk out and fade. Smile. Not like this. Not at my weakest. Not at my lowest. Oh. Not like this. Not at my bleakest. Not at my lowest. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Ooh, where was I wish I was listening to this in 2020 because this song is it's
A
like feels like a
premonition,
warm
perhaps.
blanket too. It feels like, well, you were talking about the steam. It kind of feels like that, like you've walked into like
Hmm.
this warm, comforting space. But I think a lot of that has to do with not just the song, but the beautiful job the band and the production. Like that pedal steel is so adds this warmth without it, and it's never too far up in the mix. Like the guitar
Right.
is still kind of
Yeah.
doing the main dance, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I've always loved pedal steel. It's such an expressive,
Mhm.
bizarre instrument that I'm, I can't play the pedal steel, and I marvel at those who do, playing this thing with their feet in their hands. Eric Haywood is such a master, and he's just so expressive. You may have heard him on, but he's recorded with Sunvolt, Over the Rhine, Jeffrey Foucault.
Mm.
He just fantastic, and Pete Min engineered and mixed the album at his studio out in Eagle Rock, Los Angeles, back in November of 2019. Um, let's see some nice comments here. Are your songs autobiographical? In the case of this one, yeah, it is autobiographical. It's not always the case, but it certainly is. With this one, Jacqueline getting ready for work, but had to pop in for more insights. Yeah, thank
What
you. Have a great night at work. Glad you're here.
Nice. I gotta ask, like, how involved are you in the production side of it? Like, are you kind of really kind of directing traffic,
Yeah.
or do you ever work with other folks, or do your bandmates chiming in and saying, I think we need a little more of this or a little of that? I'm always curious of how how the picture is painted.
Well, in the case of my solo albums, I have been the producer on all of those albums. The one of the very first ones that came out was a little bit of a different kind of record, a different beast, and I worked with Carmen Rizzo, and we co-produced that album. But I would say not by and large, as I realized that one of the things that I enjoy the most about album production is the performance. As that became more of a realization, then that meant that I had to be very satisfied with the performance, and I had to have a good sense going into it as well. I had to have, a clear map of all of it. So yeah, I enjoy that role. I find it difficult to separate all of the sort of micro decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, it begins with the songs, but it's just a way of kind of like carrying it through to the very end. I don't find it a mysterious thing. Um, Now that said, I really value the people around me, and I trust their instincts and their ears as well. And I will turn to them and say, like, "What do you think? Is this feeling good?" And 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 I value their skills as well. Um, I mean, terrific crew here. That
Yeah.
and that goes a long
Yeah.
way because we have to work fast these days. We don't have gigantic budgets to like fix things and have the robots do it for us and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it really means a lot that we can go in and quite often without a rehearsal, we just kind of here's the song, I play it. Maybe
Mm.
they've heard an acoustic demo, and we just kind of go for it. And the engineer has to be so quick, and have things set up, and you have to move so quickly on your instincts. But I've been really blessed with the people that I've worked with, on this album and many many others.
Yeah, you
Sounds so good.
mentioned that the people who played on this record have played with you on other projects. Are you then tracking these kind of live and then just doing a few overdubs? Or
Yeah, that's definitely the case with Lightning Show Us Your Stuff. Yeah. The record that came after this was recorded entirely at home during the pandemic. And that's a whole different way of working, where I was working by myself and then sending tracks to these musicians wherever they were in their homes. you
Whole
know,
different process.
yeah, it seems a little bit inverted, but anything is possible, at this point. But yeah, it's what you're just as you said, it's a live situation with an overdub or two added. It might be like a vocal double or a harmony or something like that I could, like this one of the songs we're going to hear, Gather Up. We lay it down, and then I think we went back in and per- myself and Jennifer and Eric, we did some backing vocals on it as well together on one microphone. Yeah, I like the space these days. I kind of like, that's one of the things that's hard to carve out sometimes on a recording, what you don't put in.
What's
Christopher
notable on these?
uh asked me here, Grant, without knowing the music biz, is Nashville better for collaboration and exposure than LA? I don't know. I think it depends on so many factors, Um, it might depend on the kind of music you're doing, perhaps, what your ambitions are, musically speaking. There's a lot of co-writing that happens here, people that get together and they write with the ambition that maybe somebody will cover it or place it. I'm that world is a little bit different than mine as a singer, songwriter, artist, but there's certainly a lot of collaboration that happens here. There's so many great musicians. Um, I don't know. I think wherever you feel the most comfortable. I felt pretty comfortable in LA for a long time. I lived there for 30 years.
What prompted your move to Nashville? You mentioned kind of packing up before this record or whatever to make the
Yeah.
move.
Well, it just our daughter was quite young at the time, and so we were thinking about all of that, and feeling like maybe our little house wasn't going to be the most the best thing, wouldn't be so workable necessarily. And my wife, who's from Chicago, she said, there are other places, and they have these things called seasons. And like, what's that? Um, and it's kind of like, we have haze out there and
Yeah.
blistering heat and haze. Uh, uh, so I think well, maybe now is a good time, to kind of explore some other part of the country. And I tour so much on this side of the country and overseas that it's actually a little bit easier for me to get around that way. And um, you know, we love the countryside, and yeah, that's
Nice.
that's about it.
You had meant we talked before we started recording that you like the fall and you tend to write kind of fall like records. Do you feel like the seasons that you're experiencing there have changed your writing in any way?
That's a good question. I think there's probably a certain melancholic strain in a lot of my writing, and funny enough, I feel like I really get going in terms of writing around January. Dark time of the year.
Mm.
I'm like, yes, finally, you know, and I
No,
and I
true.
begin to write and work on music, and the timing works out where it seems like it's always October when I go in and record, and then it often takes about 10 months before, we can really set things up, because labels, they often don't like to release albums in the heat of summer,
Mhm.
or at least my records and everything, This is a very sad album. Let's wait until people are
The leaves are falling. Yeah.
contemplating the holidays and, till they have eggnog, uh, so it just works out that way. So,
That's
yeah, this is a September release. Lightning, came out in September of 2020, and, the next album, I have coming out is gonna come out on the 5th of September, so
another fall
a
Yes.
record.
very Virgo-y kinda situation.
Excellent. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more with you about that in a little bit, but let's get to some more music.
Alright.
Exploring this fall record. Next song you actually just mentioned, "Gather Up." Is there
Yes.
anything else you want to say about this?
Gather Up is kind of it's a cataclysmic stomp, kind of a country blues kind of a song inspired by my traumatic memory of being hauled off to little country churches with my grandparents, uh, out in Stockton, places where men would sweat and gyrate and scream through a kind of a broken PA system, and it was often very threatening. And but the music was kind of great sometimes, and there were amplifiers and Epiphone guitars, and and so yeah, with that in mind, I wrote "Gather Up."
That's some great imagery. All right, keep that in your mind here as we listen to Gather Up from Grant-Lee Phillips here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Gather up your children, the earth is reeling, the seas are bound to swell. The ground it trembles underneath your feet, waking to the warning bell. Gather up children, don't you wait till morning, the nightingale sing. Skies are weeping and the dogs run wild, the bells of the steeple clang. Gather up, gather up, gather up. Gather up your children, the ocean's spilling, the flood was children where the good Lord's will, and to be merciful. Bid Moses, won't you stem this tide and take us home? Gather up, gather up, gather up, gather up.
Yeah.
All right.
Wild.
That was great. Grant-Lee Phillips, Gather Up from his 2020 album In the Lightning. Show Us Your Stuff,
Yeah.
which we are revisiting today with Grant-Lee Phillips joining us live. And thanks to all the folks who are joining in on the live chat today.
Yeah.
And folks are loving the grooves, the guitars. And
Mhm.
Christopher also mentioned the percussion. And I was curious what was making that rattly sound.
Mhm.
Because
G. Bellerose.
yeah, but do you know like what physical thing he was doing for those sounds?
Gosh, he he brought in all sorts of things, and there were, there were, he sometimes has things strapped to his ankles, and so he'll be playing, but he's got these other kinds of percussion,
Mm.
like I don't know what they are, shakers and things of that nature, on his ankles, and then he did some overdubs as well. Yeah, it's it's got a lot of grease on it, and just
Mhm.
the
I could
idea,
feel those pews moving.
Yeah,
right?
like a creakiness to it,
Yeah.
which I
Squeaky
really loved.
pews.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, nice comments. Thank you, Joe. Joe Muldoon commenting on the groove. Yeah.
Yeah. Super, super rad. And I will say, if you're liking the music out there, it's even better when we're hearing it on the headphones and with all the ones and zeros. So
Yep.
if you want to get a copy of this album, you should buy it. It's
Yes.
available at yeprock.com.
Oh yeah.
And as are many of his records, and including his new record will be coming out, as he mentioned, September 5th, I believe.
Mhm.
And is there anything you want to say about the new record coming up?
Goodness. Sure. It's called In the Hour of Dust, and recorded out in LA. Um, in the fall, come to think of it, with the same crew. And yeah, I'm quite excited about it. It's a real earthy kind of record, and it's wrestling with um, a lot of these uh, strange feelings that I have about this particular moment in time. Um, that anxiety, and that need to hang on to hope and remember what matters, and the people that matter to me, and you know hold tight to all of that stuff as we move through the blinding dust of what unreality I would call it.
Yeah.
These are strange times that tax the soul, and so I think there's a way to address that type of thing through through music, through words. Um, yeah, in such a way that it doesn't whack you over the head, but it hopefully seeps in, though. You know, it comes from the unconscious, and it hopefully speaks to the unconscious.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. And
Mhm.
folks can keep tabs on everything that Grant-Lee Phillips is doing by signing up for his email list, following him on all the social places. And again, you can get all that righteous music at yeprock.com, which is good for the soul. And it's also in this particular moment in time, supporting artists like Grant-Lee Phillips, supporting indie labels like Yep Rock. These are the things that we really need right now. And so you folks know that because you're joining us here,
Yeah.
whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us for the live chat. So this is a great way of supporting artists like Grant and making sure that he continues to be our troubadour for many years to come.
Yeah.
And I did want to take this moment, though, to thank, while we're talking about the community efforts, because I feel like that's what it really is all about. It takes a village to make anything happen in music, whether it's recording an album, whether it's getting it out there, and whether it's supporting a show like this. So we want to thank our Patreon supporters. And these are the folks that have kept the show going for 5 years, and which we started during the pandemic. That was our coping mechanism. We didn't put out a record, but we put out this show. And these folks said, even when live music returns, people are like, no, these conversations with artists, valuing their past recorded work and creating community around that was important to them. So we want to thank these folks for continuing the party. Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Christy, Diane, Hetty, Sandy, Neighbor Ann, Andy Z, Paul, Cynthia, Ross, and Mike. Thank you so much to all of them. And also, if you want to join the party and get invites to all of our shows to enjoy the live tapings and ask questions of our guests, you can go to patreon.com/back catalog listening party. And if you do it soon, you might be able to still get one of those sweet pint glasses. Founders
yes,
pint
everything
glass.
tastes so much better, and the music sounds better somehow too.
Yes, it's amazing
when you're drinking something out of here. So. But no, I'll just echo what Ellen said. You know, it's music is best enjoyed together, and something happens when you listen together, even if it's, through wires and across the country. It's just a different experience, and it means so much. So I just want to thank everybody who is here today for the live stream and that goes to live shows. It's really what it's all about. And I do think it is the counterforce that we need right now.
Yeah. For all the crazy.
That's right.
And Benjamin, speaking of live things, Benjamin wanted to know, did you have percussion on your feet for the McCabe's Green Corn Songs EP? There's percussion, but no one credited with it.
That's spooky. I don't believe there wasn't anyone playing percussion on stage, although I have a way when I play the guitar, certain songs, I kind of whack it with the they call this heel of your hand. So sometimes that sounds a lot like a drum, I have a big guitar and bang. And then I believe we had upright bass. I think Keemon Kirk was playing upright bass on that live McCabe show. And that's very percussive. So it could have been some kind of artifact in that way. I'm not really certain. I remember recording certain that album that Ben is speaking of, and I took it to Jay and I said, "Can you play some drums on this?" And he said, "I don't think it really needs it. Kind of sounds like you're kind of doing things with your hands." And so that's that could be the case. That's my guess. Rock and Roll Hell 83. Have you found production work to be easier or more difficult? I produce myself, so I have found myself to be more difficult over the years, needlessly cantankerous. So.
These are great questions. Keep the comments coming. We still have at least one more song to get to on the show today. But I did want to mention, if you're interested in seeing Grant perform live, he's about to embark on a big tour, a big mess of dates. So if you go to grantleephillips.com, you can keep tabs on all of that. And because, sometimes it is true. Sometimes when you're in a room, you hear things that maybe it's just like a reverberation off of an instrument or something. And it's not even, so there are lots of magic. There's just a lot of magic that happens in a live performance in the studio or on a stage. But sometimes you can't. I feel like I'm hearing things all the time even from live recordings where you're like, where is that sound coming from? It's like echoing off a glass from a nearby table or something.
Well, we've learned after doing this for 5 years that the room is like another member of the band.
Oh, that's true.
Too.
And
that's really true. That can really change how we hear and experience these things.
Yeah.
That's right. The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com. Well, we're going to get to, I don't know, do we have time? I think we only have time for one more song here because it's a long one. Straight to the Ground is the last one you picked. Is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
Well, this would be a song in which I'm kind of writing through the eyes of a character. And in the case of this song here, it's very much inspired by a short story by Carson McCullers, The Member of the Wedding, I believe is the story. Young girl who's very disillusioned and feels kind of trapped in her life, and so just that simple premise, remember that match with remembering what it was like when I was growing up, feeling like Los Angeles was hours away. I didn't have a driver's license yet, knowing that my future and fate was down the highway quite a ways, and the idea that life is passing me by. I've got to I just want to burn this place down and just get on with my life, and so it was a lot of things like that, kind of like just coming together, a few different points of inspiration. That's often the case, no one thing. So yeah, straight to the ground.
All right, Straight to the Ground, Grant-Lee Phillips, closing out our hour here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
No one short for conversation here. You needn't pry, they're bound to volunteer. Some days I feel I'm on some party line. It doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes. On about it, ever they have eyes. Someone at the Legion Hall last night, caught up in some endless guessing game, wondering if that someone feels the same. Swear I'd like to burn this place straight to the ground. Everything here just reminds me that I'm missing out. I'd love to set a fire to all of you. It ain't worth a matchstick to me now. Trains don't even stop here anymore, and if they did, I wouldn't know what for. What I'd give to buy a ticket out. I'd be gone before you heard the door. Swear I'd like to burn this place straight to the ground. Everything, it just reminds me that I'm missing out. Missing out on more than I can say. Someday I'd like to set it all aflame. I had a dream that I was walking on the beach in the white foam of the sea. I felt the sands down underneath me start to shift. under the moon, have their breakfast brought out by the pool. You never ring them till the afternoon. It's how they do in Hollywood. Swear I'd like to burn this place straight to the ground. Everything, it just reminds me that I'm missing out. I'd love to set a fire to all of you. It ain't worth a matchstick to me now. Swear I'd like to burn this place straight to the ground. Everything, it just reminds me that I'm missing out. I'd love to set a fire to all of you. Someday I'd like to burn it to the ground. Someday I'd like to burn it to the ground. Straight to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That was Straight to the Ground. Grant-Lee Phillips from his 2020 release, Lightning, Show Us Your Stuff. And oh man, it was happening right there.
Yeah.
That was special. I think I heard some organ in there. And
Yeah.
it really, I don't know. It felt like it was evoking something.
Yeah,
me,
it's
for sure.
there's played some organ and some piano on that one. I forgot about that. As I was listening back, I was having memories of certain places that year as I was writing. Chelsea, Michigan, the Jiffy biscuit mix factory. The train tracks run right alongside it, and I stood out there one night in the fog, looking up at the Jiffy, the Jiffy factory. And so there's a line in there about trains don't even stop here anymore. I think it was probably inspired by that moment. We have a thing called Honky Tonk Tuesday in Nashville, and they used to do it down at the Legion Hall, and that's in there as well.
Nice.
Funny how that is. Just sort of it's a junkyard of experience.
That's so cool.
It's really resonating with me today, and I know it is with folks out there listening. Folks really enjoying, as Joe said, the rich lyrics, varying references and images finely crafted. And Christy says, "What a great evening! Thanks, Grant, and all of you. We're so happy that all of you joined us today, because this was a really special hour of music that I need. And I know we say this every week, but it seems to be true. I feel like the universe knows what album we need to hear every week, because this is definitely what I needed. And I'm going to be listening to this on repeat all week. So, and if you want to listen to it on repeat, get the real deal, folks. Get a physical copy or download the high-res digital files, because it's going to sound so much better than just on a streaming service. And it goes a long way to support artists like Grant-Lee Phillips.
Yep. Yeah. That's for sure.
Thank you.
GrantLeePhillips.com, yeprock.com, and make sure to check out his tour dates. New record coming soon. Yeah. September 5th.
Another fall release coming up.
Another fall release. We're really excited.
And if you want
that.
more people to hear this episode, if you're listening on a podcast platform, if you rate the show or leave a review, it goes a long way to kind of promote this particular episode, and more people will get to hear Grant-Lee Phillips and this music. And if you're on YouTube, you can give it the thumbs up or subscribe to the channel, because again, I think independent music, independent artists are the salve that that we all need right now.
That's right. And again, if you subscribe to the podcast and on your favorite platform, you'll find that we drop new episodes just about every Friday. So if you want to kick your weekend off right, you can hit that subscribe button and you can join us as we don't get to talk with Grant-Lee Phillips every week, but we have other great artists we get to talk to. So thank you so much, Grant, for
Thank you both.
joining
Yeah,
us.
my
This
pleasure.
was really fun. Super fun.
And
Well-
thanks all of you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And until next week, keep supporting independent music and musicians. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, which helps more people discover our show and our guests.
And do you want to be a part of the live show, get a first look at upcoming guests, and receive invites to private online parties and live streams? Then join our Patreon community at backcataloglisteningparty.com.
Have a great week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party.